I find it interesting that Ishak's rendering of the Koran is so much more vivid, even incriminating, than the modern translations. And considering that he was the foremost authority on Mohammed, and wrote 1,000 years before the first English translation, his interpretations are worthy of our consideration.
Ishak, I let them get the better of you to test you, so fear me and obey me. If you had believed in what my prophet brought from me, you would not have received a shock from the Meccan army. But we cause days like this so that Allah may know those who believe and may choose martyrs from among you. Allah must distinguish between believers and hypocrites so that He can honor the faithful with martyrdom.
So let me get this straight. Allah kills the good, loyal Muslims as a way of bestowing honor on them. Islam continues to be a dogma to die for. The Quran is unambiguous. Good Muslims kill.
Ishak, did you think that you would enter paradise and receive my reward before I tested you, so that I might know who was loyal? You used to wish for martyrdom.
And entry into my brothel.
Before you met the enemy, you wished for death before you met it. Now that you have seen with your own eyes the death of swords, will you go back on your religion, Allah's book, and His prophet as disbelievers, abandoning the fight with your enemy? He who turns back
from fighting
in his religion will not harm Allah. He will not diminish His glory, kingdom, sovereignty, and power.
The greatest sin a Muslim can commit is to refrain from fighting.
Quran 3, verse 141. This is so Allah may test the faithful and destroy the unbelieving infidels.
Another translation proclaims,
Allah's object is to purge those that are true in faith and blight the disbelievers.
A good Muslim kills. A bad Muslim is blighted for being peaceful.
Did you think that you would enter paradise while Allah does not know those of you who really fights hard in His cause and remain steadfast? You wished for death before you met it in the field of battle. Now that you have seen it with your own eyes, you flinch.
This passage is pretty tough to reconcile with the peace-loving myth of Islam, and it's even harder to square with a God who claims to know everything Muslims think, say, and do. Another translation reads,
Did you think you would enter paradise without Allah testing those of you who fight in His cause?
To pass Allah's test, Muslims must fight. The Sirah says,
Ishak, it is not your affair whether Allah changes His attitude to them or punishes them, for they are evildoers. You are not to be bothered with my judgment of my slaves, except insofar as I give orders concerning them,
i.e., to kill or rob them.
I may change my mind toward them. Punishing them is my prerogative. They deserve this for their disobedience to me.
Muhammad was in a pickle, and Satan knew it. The Medina Muslims were in revolt. If Muhammad lashed out at them too forcefully, they would exterminate him. If he were too lenient, they would ignore him. Muhammad had to woo them back into the fold with carrot and stick. As proof, I offer this evidence.
Ishak, fear Allah that you may be prosperous. Obey Allah, and perhaps you may escape from His punishment of which He has warned you, and attain His reward which He has made you desire. And fear the fire which He has prepared for the disbelievers, a resort of those who disbelieve me.
Satan knows what men desire, and seduces them with whatever they covet most. He knows that men fear, and threatens them with it. It's so considerate of Ishak to expose the spirit behind Islam.
Ishak, then Allah said, Obey Allah and the Apostle, and maybe you will attain mercy. Reproaching those who disobeyed the Apostle in the orders he gave them that day
to fight,
He said, Vie with one another for forgiveness from your Lord, and for the garden of bliss prepared for those who fear, a dwelling for those who obey me and obey my Apostle. They have wronged themselves by disobedience, but they must not continue disobeying me, for I have prohibited the worship of any but myself.
Satan needed his militants back under his control, so he said,
Ishak, Allah pardoned the great sin in that he did not destroy you for having disobeyed the prophet. I did not exterminate all for the debt you owed me. You have suffered for disobeying me.
Then he added,
It was by the mercy of Allah that you, Muhammad, were lenient to them. Had you been stern and rough, they would have dispersed and been no longer around you. They would have left you. So overlook their offense and ask pardon for them, and consult with them about the matter.
In other words, beg them to come back, because Islam is useless to us without stooges.
They have the duty to obey their prophet. Ishak. Show them that you listen to them and ask them for their help, thereby make the religion of Islam agreeable to them. And when you are resolved in the matter of religion concerning fighting your enemy, you will have the advantage.
The hadith says that the Prophet eased up on the religious stuff as a result.
Muslim. Muhammad used to take care of us in preaching by selecting a suitable time so that we might not get bored. He abstained from pestering us with sermons and knowledge. Ishak. Then Allah said, It is not for any prophet to deceive.
Since Islam is about war, and since Muhammad said,
War is deceit,
I think I smell a contradiction. Returning to the Koran, the next line is in reference to the humiliating retreat at Uhad.
Quran 3, verse 144. And Muhammad is no more than a messenger. Messengers have passed away before him. If then he dies or is killed, will you turn back upon your heels? And whoever turns back upon his heels, he will by no means do harm to Allah in the least, and Allah will reward the grateful. No person can ever die except by the permission of Allah, the term being fixed as by writing. If any do desire a reward in this life, we shall give it to him.
So long as he doesn't retreat from fighting in Allah's cause. Allah needs to seduce men to do his bidding. He is otherwise impotent. Further, this Quranic passage confirms Islam's predestination problem. Everything is fixed by Allah. The religion can't save men.